Thank you for this. It means a lot.
They cherished these moments.
Sophia, darling, that's so sweet. Look at this timestamp.
Ajite.
Yes, I see it. It's irregular.
This is it.
Don't worry, Sophia. I've got you. Stay close to me.
Rain had a way of making Chicago feel smaller. By the time Chloe Bennett stepped out of St. Anne's Children's Hospital, the streets shimmered beneath the orange glow of streetlights. Water streamed off bus shelters and gathered along cracked sidewalks while the evening rush hurried past with umbrellas held low against the wind. She pulled her coat tighter around herself and glanced at the bus schedule. 8 more minutes. Her feet ached after 12 hours on the pediatric floor. She could still hear little Ethan laughing after she'd convinced him that dinosaurs probably hated getting vaccinations too. It hadn't been much of a joke, but it made him smile. Moments like that were why she stayed, even if the paycheck barely covered rent. She reached into her pocket. $2. Enough for tomorrow's coffee if she skipped breakfast. She sighed, then smiled anyway. Tomorrow will figure itself out. A gust of wind scattered rain across the empty bench. Most people waiting for the bus stared at their phones. No one looked at anyone else. Then she noticed someone standing across the street. A little girl, 7 years old, maybe 8. No ombrelle, no coat, just a blue sweater already soaked through. She wasn't crying. She wasn't calling for help. She was simply watching every passing car with the tense concentration of someone expecting something terrible. Chloe frowned. Children weren't supposed to have eyes like that. She took one step toward the street, then another. The traffic light changed. Before she could call out, the first gunshot echoed through the rain. Everything happened at once. A black SUV slammed sideways into another vehicle. Brakes screamed. People dropped shopping bags and ran. Another burst of gunfire shattered the evening. Someone yelled. Glass exploded across the pavement. The little girl spun toward the sound. For a heartbeat, she froze. Then she ran. Not away from the danger. Toward Chloe. She collided with Chloe's arms so hard they nearly both fell. The child's breathing came in terrified gasps. Please. Her voice barely rose above the rain. Don't let them find me. Chloe looked over the girl's shoulder. 3 armed men were moving through the chaos with frightening discipline, scanning every alley instead of firing wildly. Whatever this was, it wasn't random. The girl clutched Chloe's coat. They'll think I'm alone. Boo! The child shook her head. No time. A maintenance door beside the bus terminal stood slightly open. Most people would never notice it. Chloe did. She had a choice. Walk away, call the police and wait, or trust the terrified child who had appeared out of nowhere. She grabbed the girl's hand. This way. They slipped inside moments before footsteps thundered past outside. Darkness swallowed them. Only the sound of rain remained. Then, heavy boots stopped directly outside the door. The room smelled of concrete and dust. Emergency lights flickered overhead. The little girl tried to stay brave, but her small hands trembled around Chloe's sleeve. It's okay, Chloe whispered. We're safe for a minute. The girl looked toward the metal door. No. Her answer came quietly. Safe doesn't last very long. Those words didn't belong to a child. Outside, voices echoed through radios. Disciplined. Professional. Not panicked. Someone was giving precise orders. Another group answered from farther down the alley. Who were they searching for? The child closed her eyes. They're getting closer. Chloe crouched in front of her. What's your name? A long silence. Finally, Sophia. Sophia. Just Sophia. Sophia hesitated. My father will come. You know that. The little girl's expression changed. Not hopeful. Certain. He always... She stopped herself, then corrected the sentence. He never stops looking. Before Chloe could ask another question, the lights suddenly went out. Complete darkness. A powerful flashlight beam slid beneath the crack of the metal door. Someone tried the handle. Locked. Then a calm male voice spoke from the hallway. Search every room. Silence followed. Another voice answered. Sir, if she's here, we'll find her. Chloe instinctively pulled Sophia behind her. She still didn't know whether the people outside had come to rescue the little girl or finish what had begun in the street. The footsteps outside gradually faded. Only then did Chloe realize she had been holding her breath. Sophia remained perfectly still, listening far longer than any child should have. Finally, she relaxed her shoulders. They've gone. For now. Chloe asked. Sophia nodded. They'll come back. Chloe found an emergency lantern on a nearby shelf and switched it on. Soft yellow light filled the maintenance room. For the first time, she could really see the girl. There was dried blood on one sleeve, not hers. A tiny silver necklace rested against her sweater. An engraved crest hung from it. 2 lions. A crown. It looked expensive. Far too expensive for an ordinary family. Does this belong to your mother? Chloe asked gently. Sophia lowered her eyes. My mother died. I'm sorry. A long silence followed. Then Sophia whispered something so quietly Chloe almost missed it. My last name is Romano. The name meant nothing to Chloe, but the hesitation in Sophia's voice did. Somehow, that single word carried far more weight than a surname should. The maintenance room had no windows, but an old television mounted in the corner still worked. Chloe managed to find a weak local news signal. The broadcast interrupted regular programming. Breaking news. A luxury convoy had been attacked less than a mile away. Authorities confirmed multiple casualties. 1 child remained missing. The screen changed to a photograph. The little girl beside Chloe. Sophia. Below the image appeared another photograph. A man in a perfectly tailored black suit stood outside a courthouse, surrounded by security. His expression was calm, almost unreadable, yet every person around him seemed to instinctively keep their distance. The reporter continued. Sophia Romano, daughter of businessman Gabriel Romano, disappeared during today's attack. Private security teams are conducting an extensive search. The word businessman sounded carefully chosen. The footage told a different story. Professional security. Convoys moving with military precision. No ordinary executive inspired that kind of loyalty or fear. Sophia quietly looked away from the screen. He's going to think I ran away. You didn't. He'll blame himself anyway. Chloe looked back at Gabriel's image. For the first time, she wondered who he really was. Nearly an hour passed before distant engines echoed outside. Not one vehicle. Several. They stopped with practiced precision. Doors opened almost simultaneously. Only calm, disciplined movement. Sophia stood before anyone said a word. He's here. A knock sounded against the metal door. 3 measured taps. Then a man's voice. Deep. Controlled. Miss Bennett. Chloe stiffened. He knew her name. I believe my daughter is with you. Every instinct told her to hesitate. She had protected Sophia this long. She wasn't about to hand her over without certainty. Keeping Sophia behind her, Chloe opened the door only a few inches. The hallway was lined with security personnel in dark suits, each standing silently. No one raised a weapon. At the center stood Gabriel Romano. He was taller than she expected, composed despite the rain still clinging to his coat. His attention wasn't on Chloe. It was on Sophia. The little girl stepped forward slowly. Dad! For the first time, the controlled expression on Gabriel's face disappeared. He crossed the distance in seconds, kneeling as Sophia threw her arms around him. He held her tightly, saying nothing at first. Relief needed no words. When he finally looked up, his eyes met Chloe's. Thank you, he said quietly. They told me someone risked everything for my daughter. He paused. I didn't expect someone with nothing to gain. Chloe shook her head. She was just a frightened little girl. Gabriel studied her for a moment before replying. No. His voice remained calm. She was my entire world. Silence settled over the room. Outside, one of Gabriel's security officers approached discreetly and spoke in a low voice. Sir, we've identified signs this attack may have involved someone with inside knowledge. Gabriel's expression hardened instantly. The warmth vanished. The feared leader returned. Without raising his voice, he gave a single instruction. Bring everyone in. Then he looked once more at Chloe. This isn't over. And for the first time, Chloe realized that saving Sophia had drawn her into a world far larger and far more dangerous than she had ever imagined. The Romano estate sat beyond towering iron gates and acres of ancient oak trees. It looked less like a mansion and more like a fortress hidden from the rest of the city. As Chloe's car rolled through the final checkpoint, she noticed cameras tracking every movement and security teams communicating through discreet earpieces. Nothing happened here without someone noticing. She had never imagined places like this existed outside movies. Sophia, now wrapped in a dry sweater, leaned quietly against the window. I don't like coming back after something bad happens, she admitted softly. Why? Because everyone stopped smiling. The words lingered with Chloe. Inside the estate, staff greeted Sophia with visible relief, but the atmosphere remained tense. Guards moved quickly through the hallways, exchanging brief, coded messages while technicians carried laptops into a conference room. Gabriel approached them, no longer wearing the rain-soaked overcoat from earlier. His composure had returned. You'll have a guest suite prepared, he instructed a house manager. Chloe immediately shook her head. I appreciate everything, but I should leave. Gabriel looked at her for a long moment. If today's attack involves someone inside my organization, then the people responsible know someone protected Sophia. He didn't raise his voice. They may decide to eliminate the only witness. The reality settled over Chloe. Going home might be the most dangerous decision she could make. She reluctantly agreed to stay one night. As Gabriel walked away, his security chief approached with a sealed folder. We found something. Gabriel opened it. His expression hardened. The estate's command center buzzed with quiet efficiency. Large digital maps displayed the convoy's route. Security footage replayed from dozens of angles. Every minute of the attack was reconstructed. Gabriel stood silently, watching. No one interrupted him. Finally, his intelligence director spoke. The attackers knew the exact route. Another officer added. They also knew where the convoy would slow down. Someone had planned the ambush with remarkable precision. This wasn't luck. It was information. Gabriel studied the timeline. Who approved today's route? 3 names appeared on the screen. Each belonged to someone who had worked beside him for years. Loyal men, trusted men, men who had attended family celebrations and watched Sophia grow up. The room fell silent. Gabriel broke it himself. Trust isn't evidence. He ordered investigations into all 3, regardless of rank. Across the estate, Chloe watched from a balcony with Sophia. The little girl remained unusually quiet. Do you think Dad's angry? She asked. I think he's trying to protect everyone. Sophia nodded. He gets quieter when he's afraid. That answer surprised Chloe more than anything she'd heard all day. Unable to sleep, Chloe wandered through one of the estate's quiet libraries. She expected books. Instead, she found walls covered with photographs, newspaper clippings, and family memories. Sophia appeared moments later, carrying 2 mugs of hot chocolate. Dad comes here when he misses Mom. The little girl pointed toward a framed picture. Gabriel stood beside a smiling woman on a beach, years younger, completely different from the intimidating figure the world knew. He laughs less now, Sophia whispered. Before Chloe could respond, footsteps echoed behind them. Gabriel entered, but stopped when he saw the photographs. For a brief moment, the feared mafia leader became simply a widower remembering happier days. I didn't mean to interrupt, Chloe said. You didn't. He looked at the photograph before continuing. My wife believed kindness could change people. His eyes met Chloe's. So did you. It was the first truly personal conversation between them. Not about investigations. Not about danger. About loss. Before either could say more, Gabriel's phone vibrated. He answered immediately. What? The warmth disappeared from his face. One of the 3 suspects had vanished. Without warning. Without explanation. Morning brought new evidence. Security teams recovered surveillance footage from a nearby storefront overlooked during the initial investigation. The recording captured only seconds of the attack. But those seconds changed everything. One of Gabriel's trusted advisors appeared, speaking privately with a man later identified as one of the attackers. Not proof, but enough to raise serious doubts. As investigators examined the footage, Chloe quietly noticed something everyone else had ignored. The timestamp. Several people looked toward her. It jumps forward almost 30 seconds. A technician replayed the clip. She was right. Someone had edited the recording before investigators received it. The manipulation meant one thing. The conspiracy had reached beyond the ambush itself. Someone was actively destroying evidence. Gabriel slowly looked around the operations room. If they can alter evidence inside my own investigation. He paused. Then they're still here. The room fell silent. No one knew who to trust anymore. Outside the command center windows, Armed guards doubled their patrols as the estate shifted into full lockdown. And somewhere inside those walls, the traitor was listening. Morning sunlight filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Romano estate's council room, but it did little to warm the atmosphere. Every senior member of Gabriel Romano's organization sat around the long oak table in complete silence. No one reached for coffee. No one exchanged greetings. They all knew why they had been summoned. Gabriel entered last. He wore a charcoal suit without a tie, his expression calm enough to unsettle everyone in the room. No introductions. No speeches. He placed a slim folder on the table. Our convoy route wasn't stolen, he said evenly. It was given away. The words landed like stones. One by one, security monitors illuminated around the room, displaying financial records, encrypted messages, and security logs collected overnight. The investigation had grown far beyond a single ambush. The evidence pointed toward Victor Salazar, one of Gabriel's longest-serving advisors. For years, Victor had overseen logistics and security planning. He had attended family birthdays, watched Sophia grow up, and stood beside Gabriel during countless business negotiations. Victor remained composed. You believe someone fabricated this? I believe someone underestimated my people, Gabriel replied. Victor smiled faintly. You trusted me. I did. And now? Gabriel looked directly at him. Trust is earned every day. Betrayal only takes one. The room remained silent as Victor finally admitted that a rival syndicate had offered him power in exchange for information. He insisted the attack was never supposed to involve Sophia. Gabriel's disappointment was more powerful than anger. You didn't betray my business, he said quietly. You betrayed my family. Victor was escorted away without violence. The soldiers obeyed instantly, their loyalty leaving no room for debate. Outside the room, Chloe watched through the glass. She had expected shouting, threats, or revenge. Instead, she had witnessed something colder, discipline. She finally understood why Gabriel inspired such loyalty. It wasn't fear alone. It was certainty. As Gabriel stepped into the hallway, another member of security hurried toward him. Sir, he handed over a phone. We intercepted another message. Gabriel read only a few words before his expression hardened again. Victor hadn't been working alone. By evening, the estate felt different. Security remained vigilant, but the constant urgency had eased. Sophia wandered through the gardens with Chloe, laughing for the first time since the attack. The sound caught Gabriel's attention from across the terrace. He stopped working and simply watched. His security chief noticed. You've been standing here 5 minutes. Gabriel smiled faintly. I know. Inside the house, dinner was served in a private dining room rather than the formal hall. Only 3 places had been set. Gabriel, Sophia, Chloe. Sophia looked between them before asking, Does Chloe have to leave tomorrow? Neither adult answered immediately. Finally, Gabriel spoke. Only if that's what she wants. Sophia turned to Chloe. I don't want you to go. The room became very quiet. Chloe reached across the table and gently squeezed the little girl's hand. I'll visit. Sophia frowned. That's not the same. Gabriel understood exactly what his daughter meant. He looked toward Chloe. You've spent your life helping strangers. A pause. I'd like to return that kindness. He explained that the Romano Foundation funded children's hospitals throughout Chicago and wanted someone trustworthy to oversee its pediatric programs. It wasn't charity. It wasn't a reward. It was an invitation to continue the work she already loved. Chloe looked surprised. You barely know me. Gabriel answered with complete sincerity. I know what you chose when you had every reason to walk away. For Chloe, the offer represented far more than a new career. It represented belonging. As dinner ended, Sophia slipped her small hand into Chloe's. She never let go. Spring arrived gently in Chicago. The city looked brighter than Chloe remembered. Outside the newly renovated children's center funded by the Romano Foundation, families filled the sidewalks while volunteers prepared for the building's grand opening. A bronze plaque near the entrance carried a simple inscription, For every child who deserves to feel safe. Inside, Chloe greeted young patients by name. She belonged here. Across the lobby, Gabriel arrived without the large convoy that once followed him everywhere. Security remained nearby, discreet but ever present, blending into the background rather than dominating the moment. Sophia ran ahead. She looked older now, happier too. Dad, Chloe. She threw her arms around both of them at once, laughing as they embraced. Several reporters nearby quietly watched the interaction. One asked whether the rumors were true. Was Chloe now part of the Romano family? Gabriel looked toward Chloe before answering. There was no hesitation. The day she chose my daughter's life over her own safety. He smiled softly. She became family. The statement wasn't dramatic. It didn't need to be. Everyone present understood its meaning. As the ceremony ended, the three of them walked toward the garden behind the center. Sophia skipped ahead, chasing butterflies between flower beds. Gabriel slowed his pace beside Chloe. A year ago, he said, I thought power was measured by how much I could protect. And now, he watched Sophia laugh beneath the afternoon sun. Now I know it's measured by who you're protecting. Chloe smiled. The rain that had brought them together was gone. In its place stood something stronger than chance. A family built not by blood alone, but by courage, loyalty, and one ordinary decision that changed every life it touched.